Welcome to Last Week on Office Hours. My name is Ken Jordan from Surrey in the UK, and my co-host today is Leo.
Welcome, Ken, and welcome to everybody watching.
And we start the week on Monday, where we had general questions for 2 hours.
Bill, what questions do we have?
Our first one comes from Ash Yadev in New York City. He says, love the experimentation of the Mobley and Belfast methods. They're getting complex for those not in the biz. As we do more, can we have a minimalist version of these for office hours who are not in the biz and want to experiment in their home labs?
Ash is right that everybody wants to keep it, all of a sudden we go from here to running at 100 miles an hour. And sometimes it's a bit too fast for everybody to follow.
Are we geared toward professionals in the business, or are we geared toward lay people, or are we trying to be both? I don't know the answer to that, but I think it's a wonderful question.
We are trying to make it more accessible and affordable, but for that we first need to figure out how to do it at all.
What we don't want to do is dumb it down to a point where professionals aren't interested. This is not where we're trying to go. We want them to be there. The heterogeneous mix of new people who are interested in doing this and professionals who keep on stretching that outer boundary is part of what makes it interesting.
Most people, myself included for sure, we retain better when we teach. John would probably agree with this. So coming back to the community and say, okay, I figured something out. It was difficult. Let me explain it to you. It's actually a benefit for you as well.
Hopefully some people who want to do something more simple can also ask for advice and just try to go ahead and do it in after hours.
Does the panel have a recommendation for a respectable sub $400 camera suitable for secondary cameras on an ATEM Mini or Extreme to give additional viewing angles in a workshop or kitchen-based show type? And for my overhead shot for this one, use just a Canon Vixia 20. It's well within your price range, and it has a simple, clean output.
I use a GoPro. This is a GoPro 3. It's still going strong. It has a clean out and works well. And then I also recommend like the little Sony camcorders.
And then on Tuesday, we had a special guest from Future Moments.
We have the team from Future Moments, Gary Levitt and Wim de Noord.
We got started in the end of 2014, beginning of 2015 with our first release called Mic Swap. At the time, it was the first mic modeler emulator recorder on iPhone and iPad.
What does Mic Swap do?
Mic Swap, you could record or import audio, and you have a bunch of different microphone emulations, so you could change the sound. Here's Mic Swap. So you'll probably recognize a lot of these microphones.
What did it take to actually emulate these microphones?
First of all, it took a experience and knowledge of these microphones.
What does Audio Master do?
It's an instant audio mastering app. So you import audio into it, and it immediately boosts the volume and sets it to maximum level, and then you can export it. It's the quickest mastering you could possibly do.
Where do you see the software being used the most?
There's a lot of voiceover actors using Mic Swap and Audio Master. There's also a lot of podcasters using Mic Swap Multitrack and Audio Master. And then we also have a lot of filmmakers using Video Master. You just import it into this app, and then there's an equalizer. We also have many presets you can use.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no.
And you export it, and it immediately improves your audio.
So Wednesday was the first of the look at some of the big events that have happened in the last week. And this one was the one on the Apple keynote that came out on Tuesday. We reviewed the Apple keynote and how the technology in the keynote was delivered.
Were there any production techniques, edits, camera techniques that anyone picked up as special or unique to Apple during the commercials hype segments?
There was a point where Tim Cook walks from the desert into the stage. And it was, when you look at it actually cut together, it's not as smooth as it would feel. But what he did is we realized they just took a piece of stage and put it out in the desert.
Why do you think they're doing such advanced wipes, Alex? Just to keep it entertaining?
Yeah, just to show off.
This crowd notwithstanding, is there a point where the production becomes so slick that it detracts from the message or turns off the viewer?
It would be great if they finished a keynote and they said, oh, and by the way,
we shot the whole thing
with the iPhone 15, whatever. Yeah.
And I don't think we're that far away.
Apple used great locations for most of the keynote, but had Tim on a large stage, a dark stage, in an empty auditorium. It felt at odds with the rest of the keynote, a throwback to times past.
I think that what we saw was the future, is that it'll be Tim announcing video clips, and then moving on, to the next video clip.
Thoughts on how the Apple Keynote events are using the Apple Keynote application?
I'll tell you my favorite motion graphics these days in terms of educational stuff. Go to the Apple stores and look at the stuff that's just on the screens.
Mm-hmm.
I love them. I could sit there all day and just watch them. My wife keeps going, can we go now? Can we go now? Can we go now?
On Thursday, we did a recap of Zoomtopia. We were fortunate to have on the panel Sam, who's the leader of the Zoom special events team.
Sam had actually reached out to Alex to be on the panel when he heard we were covering Zoomtopia, and went further and was also on our friend's show, the Zoom Test Kitchen, on Friday with Jeff.
Zoomtopia was a Zoom Events conference. When will Zoom Events conference be available, and what are the key added features with conference in Zoom Events?
Zoom Events conference does not have a release date currently. It's not launching for the public to use on their own right now. What it is launching for right now is we're going to start letting people build conferences with Zoom Events if they use my team. They use the event services team to assist with the build out and support.
Some comments in the Zoomtopia chat pointed out the HD video quality in Zoomtopia. Did the event set realistic expectations for the everyday user who doesn't ordinarily have access in HD in Zoom?
Everyone on this call should know that you can contact support and request 720. They'll give you 720 with any license. With a business license, they'll give you 1080 for webinars. If you have an event coming up and you are using a pro license for it, contact support and tell them, I have an event on this day. I need broadcast quality. I need 1080 for this event. They'll give it to you for that event, and then they'll turn it back off afterwards and go back to 720. So everyone on this call should absolutely know that. I don't want to see any more big webinars at 360. I don't want to see it. Don't do it.
Yeah.
720 versus 360 is a massive change on Zoom. 1080 versus 720 with the way our algorithms work, in my opinion, is not a world of difference. It's great if you can get it, but as long as you're at 720, I'm a pretty happy camper.
Friday was the opportunity to look into the future when we had Andy Coluccio on talking about Office 2.0 and how he's building the new platform with Alex and where it's going to go to.
Hello, everybody. I'm Alex. We're doing something a little bit different here. We're going to start talking about Office Hours 2.0.
You have hardware infrastructure, right? And then you have this logical engine layer. And the beauty of that is it allows you to then have a web interface. So you still have access to everything that's back there, but you don't have to deal with all the dials and knobs and complexities of operating it. A lot of these logos are applications that we've talked about over the past year on Office Hours. And the glue that's holding all of it together is Isadora. We're trying to make this very easy for the operator at the end of the day by automating a whole lot of the back end.
How can we collaborate as outside participants?
There's going to be a lot of opportunities as we ramp up. We're looking for people who are interested in editing and doing the graphics. And the best way to do it is to get in and just help and sign up on the website. My goal is to get it to a point where anyone in our group say, hey, I've got a show I want to use the Node for, and they can use the Node. It really potentially could build an entirely new kind of media, that we've been pioneering here for a year and a half.
And after office hours on Friday, we went into after hours where Talok led a 3-hour workshop on Isadora, which is actually the glue behind Office Hours 2.0. And on Saturday, the not so long day this week, but it was a very special day for me because I saw 3 new panelists on the show.
Yeah, so yesterday, Tlaloc put us on a 3-hour journey for beginners in Isadora. Before I just looked at Isadora, it was like a blank canvas. I couldn't understand what is happening over there. But after yesterday, it's like big playground, so we can play with it.
I love hearing that. That's so exciting.
I have a very general answer, and that is be willing and be open to learning new software and learning new skills really quickly. There was one time I was helping run a conference and I was an MC, but there was less people than expected. So I also had to learn OBS on the spot, and it was a toughie. So you just need to be able to pick things up really quickly and practice as much as you can before you go live.
So as an IT specialist, the ability to solve issues, hardware and software virtually, either hardware via a list you can give directionally, or if you can Dameware or RDP to the machine itself and then fix it, that would be beneficial. knowing how to do that would help immensely.
The lineup of questionnaires has also increased this week, with Mitchell in the week and Liberty doing Sundays.
Thank you for joining us again for last week on Office Hours. And if you'd like to contribute to the show, just go to lastweekonofficehours.com, where you can see a form where you can submit your videos for inclusion on the show.
Thank you to our contributors of packages, and thank you to Rotem for the production. We'll see you this week on Office Hours on officehours.global.
I'm Ken Jordan on Last Week on Office Hours, signing off.
And I'm Leo Mindell. Goodbye.